Dying Light is a beautiful production that blends survival, parkour, and action developed by Techland Games. In the game, we manage global relief effort member Kyle Crane, who helps people stranded in infected areas around the world. Zombie-like creatures have taken over most of the area, so you have to be careful. The development team chose to add more parkour movement systems to this game, where players can move quickly around the city. One of the most important factors in the game is the movement system. Whether it's running on the road, jumping over objects, or jumping off roofs, this is an important element as enemies become very aggressive and fast at dusk. Another game that you can see as a platformer is the Prince of Persia series. This is a series of games that includes several installments where players can wall run quickly and platform around levels with relative ease. Not to mention the mechanic that allows players to rewind time to avoid devastating jumps or battles. One of the most popular installments of this game, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, is getting a remake coming out later this year. This should give players some nice improvements not only to the visuals but also to the mechanics. I hope this game will become even more fluid with the new remake, but only time will tell. If Sunset Overdrive proves to be true, we don't have much longer before humanity is taken over control. Sunset Overdrive was one of the Xbox One exclusives to move the console, which was developed by Insomniac Games before they were acquired by Sony. Taking place in 2027, the world has become a dystopia and controlled by mutants. Within the game, you take the role of a Fizco employee who is tasked with cleaning up the mess in the city after the launch of a new energy drink developed by the mutants. It's a very action-packed and colorful game. However, the reason it makes our list is the fact that the protagonist can quickly move around the city landscapes. Outside of having normal maneuvering mechanics such as running and jumping, our protagonist can also quickly jump and glide down around rails and power lines around the city, while also using different items such as giant fans or tents to bounce the character high up into the sky. Ghostrunner is a game that might have gotten overshadowed by another highly anticipated cyberpunk video game, Cyberpunk 2077. While Cyberpunk 2077 was a hot mess at launch, Ghostrunner was a solid entry to the genre. This is a game where players take the role of a futuristic ninja that's tossed out of this massive tower. With no memories of what happened but a voice telling him to ascend the tower, our protagonist begins a journey to figure out what happened. Of course, there's a heavily guarded pathway waiting for players, but thanks to our protagonist's parkour skills, players can quickly dodge attacks. With that said, you'll die a lot. Fortunately, the game is great at throwing players right back into the mix and getting players into the fight. As mentioned, there are plenty of parkour skills to use, such as wall running and even a dash system in the air. You may not remember Brink. Unfortunately, the game did not become very popular. The biggest reason for this is that the producer company could not bring this exciting game to the launch. As a result, the game did not receive the expected attention. Brink is a completely free-to-play team-based FPS game. At Brink, we will try to survive in a flooded world. All in all, this team-based FPS game allows players to have fun online with several different parkour modes. But there's one more reason Brink is on our list. The incredibly simple maneuvering system in the game works really well. Essentially, by holding down a single button, players can have the hero climb ledges and jump over objects. It was a nice system, but in 2011, Dark Souls didn't do much and lost popularity against other big games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Battlefield 3, The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. I recommend this game. You can try it. Inmomentum is an indie game developed by Digital Arrow and released in 2011. It's a platform racing game, and while it offers nothing more than that, it can be somewhat fascinating to play or watch. The game features players going through a neon world filled with platforms, walls, and ledges, with checkpoints and a constantly functioning clock. Here, players move as fast as possible along the track, jumping on different platforms and heading towards each checkpoint. You may find yourself having some fun with the game, whether you're killing time or just enjoying some tunes as you progress through the levels. The Just Cause franchise is a pretty strong one for action-adventure fans, and in 2015 we received the third mainline installment, Just Cause 3. This video game once again throws players into the protagonist Rico Rodriguez, who heads back home to the fictional island of Medici, which is under the control of a dictator. If you're familiar with the Just Cause video games, then you know there is a ton of action-packed moments, and that holds with this third video game. It's set in an open-world environment with plenty of places to explore and battle within. Likewise, the equipment Rico has at his disposal makes it easy for players to get around the map. I'm sure you've seen the variety of videos surfacing online for this game, as players can use their mods to lay down booster explosives and tethers to open some wacky traversing methods. It might not be parkour per se, but you gotta admit it's quite a thrill getting from one place to the next. Dustforce acts much like a ninja style of the video game as you zip around the levels, gliding down walls and leaping from ledge to ledge. However, you're far from a ninja in this game, as Dustforce follows a nimble janitor who has a job of getting rid of all the debris and trash of the world. As you glide around the levels in this side-scrolling video game, players will use their broom to clear the dust and debris. Meanwhile, for those pesky dust bunnies and other vile dirt monsters, players will use their broom to deliver a barrage of blows. There are over 70 levels available, and even community-made levels to keep players going in this game. Thanks to the level editor, you can craft up unique levels and share them with the community online. However, the levels can continue to get even more challenging, giving players more content to chew through in hopes of perfecting a run to showcase on the leaderboard. Meanwhile, for those pesky dust bunnies and other vile dirt monsters, players will use their broom to deliver a barrage of blows. There are over 70 levels available, and even community-made levels to keep players going in this game. Thanks to the level editor, you can craft up unique levels and share them with the community online. However, the levels can continue to get even more challenging, giving players more content to chew through in hopes of perfecting a run to showcase on the leaderboard. Deathloop was released in 2021, where players are taking the role of a skilled assassin named Colt. Stuck in a time loop, Colt is forced into taking out 8 specific targets scattered around the island. That's easier said than done, as the game has a time progression mechanic that will result in Colt starting over if a day completes before taking out all the targets. Then there's also the added fact that these high-profile targets have swarms of soldiers armed to the teeth. Lastly, if that wasn't bad enough, there's another skilled assassin on the island. Juliana only has one target on her hit list, and that's Colt. A good portion of this game is based around stealth and parkour. You'll need to maneuver around the map without raising too much unwanted attention carefully. If things get too heated, then Colt will have to parkour across the area to either gain cover or quickly get out of the way of danger.
Your true self!
Development studio Respawn Entertainment brought out Titanfall, an online-only multiplayer game that had players battling against each other using massive mechs or being a ground trooper fighting against the opposing team. While fans enjoyed this game, there was plenty of players wanting a campaign. Fortunately, that came with Titanfall 2. Here, players not only had a short campaign, but also an online component for players to battle against each other again, with massive mechs and ground troops. Despite not being in a mech, players are pretty nimble, as they can double jump, run across walls, and slide under obstacles. For now, we're left waiting to see if we'll get a Titanfall 3, but at least Titanfall 2 is an active game.
It'll be fun watching this unfold.
The Dishonored series is another game franchise worth looking into if you want more of a parkour-style traverse system. While the game is based around being a stealthy assassin, players will have the ability to do the usual, such as climb up ledges, slide under obstacles, and vault over obstacles. However, with the unique ability called Blink that allows the protagonist to teleport greater distances, players can make some quick work getting around the map. The entire Assassin's Creed franchise is one series that's well worth playing if you're after parkour games. Each game is centered around historical events and eras, so you're getting to experience plenty of different settings and characters with this IP. Overall, the game is based around power between assassins who wishes to see a free world and Templars that are after order. Players in this case are taking on the role of assassins as they embark on different quests to stop the Templar leaders. To do this, assassins are required to blend in with the crowd and attempt to steer away from gaining any attention. As a result, players will find protagonists are skilled at climbing up large walls, vaulting across objects, and diving into the brush to keep out of an enemy's view. With that said, what it boils down to is what era interests you. While there is a storyline to follow the video games, you could get away with just picking out an era that's of interest and getting some recaps to help flesh out the storyline. Players can find Assassin's Creed games based around ancient Greece, Egypt, to even the latest installment, Assassin's Creed Valhalla following the Viking expansion.
Dan's planet's something big. Why else would he team up with Penguin?
Rocksteady Studios made the standard for Batman video games with the Batman Arkham series. The video game series got started with Batman Arkham Asylum and continued with Batman Arkham City and Batman Arkham Knight. Each installment puts players in control of the Caped Crusader as you protect the citizens of Gotham from the villains that seek to wreak havoc. Of course, being the Dark Knight comes with the perks of having incredible skills to deliver some near-fatal blows against your enemies as you drop down into the ground of thugs. Likewise, Batman is quite quick on his feet as well, being able to leap around objects, scale buildings with an assortment of gear, and gliding from great heights thanks to your cape. This is a very solid video game series all around with the fun storylines, brawler-style combat, and plenty of areas to explore, especially after Arkham Asylum when the game opens up Gotham City. Dying Light's sequel finally hit the marketplace in 2022. The game is set years after the events of the first game. We are taking the role of a new protagonist named Aiden. Seeking his missing sister, players are venturing the world, finding what scraps of information there is to uncover. Just like the first game, the title relies heavily on parkour. Our protagonist can explore the world, vaulting, sprinting, and climbing around the environment. This game's world is essentially a giant playground for players. Developers have also made sure to mix the parkour with combat. Essentially, you can string together some impressive attacks as vault around the rooftops to dropkick an enemy off the ledge or maneuver around obstacles to quickly get away from danger. Lastly, and the game that I'm sure everyone instantly thought of when talking about parkour, is the Mirror's Edge franchise. This is an action-adventure platform title that launched back in 2008. Within the game, players are tossed into a futuristic world with a tough regime. However, while there is a more controlled state, an underground carrier crew that is skilled in parkour offers their services as a means to deliver sensitive packages across the city. Players are stepping into the role in one of these carriers named Faith Connors. Faith is extremely skilled at parkour, whether it's bolting across thin platforms, vaulting, leaping over large gaps, or climbing up walls. While this is one of the best parkour games to have come out, it was a title that didn't quite hit the level of success that EA was likely hopeful for. It wouldn't be until 2016 that we got a reboot of sorts with Mirror's Edge Catalyst that offers a bit of backstory of Faith Connors, which again is very much focused on traversing around the area using your parkour skills. We have come to the end of our video. I hope you liked this list we prepared for you. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and like the video. Bye for now, see you in our next video.